Hey guys, what is going on? It's Farther here, and today I'm going to be talking about some tips and tricks for the game PUBG. So let's get started. Alright guys, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks here about PUBG while also talking about it, but let's just start by getting into what it is. Most people know about it by now, but in case you do not and are just finding out about this game, it's called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It's created by the guy named Brandon Green, who created a few mods for Arma and also H1Z1, and he really, focused and enhanced the mode of battle royale and just that whole genre, and now he's created his own game out of it, and it's become a huge hit, very successful, and it's breaking multiple records across the gaming industry, and it's a lot of fun to play. So the first thing you're going to do is spawn onto this plane, which, depending on the direction of the plane you're going in, it's random for every match you're in. You'll pick a point on your map, set your marker there, and drop down below, skydiving in with your parachute. So the key here is, when you're skydiving or picking your location on the map, is you want to pick a place that will still be, good in loot but not too heavily populated. So try to steer away from those larger towns and cities, and maybe go into some outlining little complexes, with some buildings, enough to give you a decent amount of loot so you're able to defend yourself. But also, you don't want to go into like a big city where there's going to be tons of people and your chances of dying are higher, because when you land into a smaller area, smaller complex, you're less likely to run into people, meaning your initial start will be a lot better. And as you can see in this video, I ended up spawning here as someone, but I ended up not dying from him. So you just want to try to get down here, and if you do happen to find someone with you, then you just want to grab a gun as fast as you can in case they're going to try to kill you, and just make sure you're ready to defend yourself if necessary. Alright, so the first thing you always want to do, get in here and get your weapons and get set up. So let's talk about some tips and tricks that you can do in order to improve your efficiency in this game and ensure your victory every time. Alright guys, so the first thing you want to look for is medical supplies. Now obviously, besides guns, that medical supplies is something you want to try to get, first in the game when you spawn in, because in case you get shot at when you're first spawned in by other nearby enemies, it's good to be able to heal yourself and be ready to take on damage. Otherwise, it really puts you in a sticky situation where you might not be able to move around or anything, at a risk of getting shot and killed because you're not able to heal yourself. So otherwise, you're going to want to get guns first. So really, guns and medical supplies is your biggest priority. And usually guns, there'll be a decent amount of ammo that comes with it on the spawn. In rare occasions, I have seen guns spawn without ammo, and vice versa. But usually you'll get it as a package, so I wouldn't worry too much about ammo. Just try to find any gun, even a pistol will suffice in the first few minutes of the game until you can get situated and find other guns like assault rifles, submachine guns, etc. Alright guys, so the next tip you want to do is make sure you're looking for attachments, because attachments help more than you think, especially things like suppressors, extended quick draw mags, and other things like compensators and stuff like that. Just really overall improve it. Tactical stocks, all of that stuff is really going to improve your performance with the weapon. Foregrips, stuff like that. You really want to try to pick them up even if you don't have a weapon yet, because you can find a weapon later on and then put them on once you have that weapon in your hands. And also make sure that you have a nice backpack. Now a backpack is really important and a key thing to find early on in the game, because there have been a lot of times personally where I have found very decent loot, very good loot, but I didn't have a backpack or the right size of a backpack to carry it. So then you have to make sacrifices and drop some, loot that could be useful later on in the game in order to get something else. So you always want to make sure you can find a decent backpack. The best thing you can do is just search every house if you have to, even if it's been looted already. Some people might already have that same backpack and won't pick it up, so it's always a good idea to search already looted houses, because you don't know what people will leave behind. And usually no one has too much trouble finding a level 2 backpack, but usually level 1, level 2s are really common. Level 3s a lot less common, but they are pretty common enough where you shouldn't have too much of an issue finding one. It's just something that really doesn't come up as often. Next thing I want to tell you guys, make sure it's another little tip here, to always try to get a decent amount of scopes, only because your scopes will really impact your game performance. especially when you're trying to deal and shoot with an enemy that's far away. You know, even a 2 times will help, red dots will help, stuff like that. Personally, I always like to do it in the beginning of the game. I always like to get 8 times and 4 times. 8 times you can place it on anything really except submachine guns. It can go on like M16s, M4s, stuff like that. You always want to get it. It's really nice and useful to use, especially if someone's like far away, a couple 100 meters away or something in a window. It's always good to have one so you could potentially kill them or knock them out. Another thing I want to talk about is ammo, and ammo is something not a lot of people take into account. But personally, I always like to carry around 200 to 230 bullets each. I feel like that's a middle number in terms of playing the game. I found it to be perfect amount. I never usually run out of that. Most of the time I always have too much, but I usually run around 200 at the minimum for both of my weapons. If I have to run less, then I'll usually put more in the weapon that I'm most confident in. For example, if I have an M16 and a UMP, then I'm going to obviously put it more into my M16 because I'm more confident with it. So always do the gun that you're most confident with. If you have to make a sacrifice and only put a certain amount of ammo in there, always choose the gun you're more confident with, so that way you're more inclined to get the kill when the time comes. Just another thing I want to tell you guys too is the circle in this game is a big thing you got to stay ahead of, because first of all, for anyone that doesn't know, the Battle Royale game mode is where you spawn on the map and there's a circle that encloses slowly. It's based on a timer, and the circle will get smaller and smaller, forcing players to get closer and closer until, you know, there's no more players left. And now the big thing here is to really make sure you're ahead of this circle. And I cannot emphasize this point enough, because there have been so many times where I could have won matches, but I lost and died due to being outside the zone. Now, you always want to be ahead of it. You always want to be on top of the zone, inside of it, because it really will benefit you in the long run. Because the worst thing you can do for yourself in this game is fight 2 enemies at once, that being other players and the zone. If you only have to deal with the players and not worry about the zone, it makes life so much better. You know, it really would help if you can find a vehicle, depending on where you are. Like if you're, for example, in the towns of Verney, which is all the way at the north side of the map, and the zone is, you know, spawning around the military base, well, I mean, chances are if you ran right away, you're going to make it, possibly. But the big thing here would be to really just try to find a vehicle, you know, get there as fast as you can, because what a lot of people will do is the military base is on a separated island connected by 2 bridges. They will camp the bridges and ambush you as you try to cross it. So the big thing there would be to get to the military base early on, or something like that, or any other location where you have to try to get into that area early on, so that way you're not trying to deal with a bunch of people in there at once. You kind of have more freedom to go around, loot a little before having to set up shop and defend yourself. Just another one I want to talk to you guys about. Make sure you have decent armor on, a good helmet, good body armor. Like you, for example, you'd want to get like a level 3 vest or level 2 vest, and then like a level 2 helmet, or any helmet will really do. Level 3s are particularly better because they are the only helmets currently that can take a bullet to the face and it won't really do any damage. You might lose your helmet. I'm not sure on the durability on that, but they're really nice. So you always want to aim for level 3 everything. That'll be ideal. There's been only a few occasions where I've had level 3 everything, and most of the time it's usually going to be a mix and match of, you know, level 2, level 3, level 1, and all of that. And that's really it for this game, guys. I hope you enjoyed. So overall, you know, just make sure you're finding weapons and medical supplies first. Then you can worry about like attachments and ammo. Make sure that you're always ahead of the zone. Make sure if you're, you know, far away, you're finding vehicles that you can use. You know, just like little tips like that will really help you in the long run. Make sure you know that you're using a gun that you're most confident with. Using guns that will best suit you in the situation that you're in. You know, you always want to be accounting for these things. But yeah, guys, that's really it. PUBG is a pretty fun game. I have fun with it sometimes with some friends. The only downside about this game so far is the fact that you can't really get any beneficial reward from the game besides these coins, which you can use to buy in-game clothes. So hopefully soon they'll add some other way you can you know, benefit your win. Something you can do from winning these matches. But don't forget to drop a like on this video, guys, if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming videos, and leave a comment down below on what you think about this game. Is there any other tips or tricks you want to see? And yeah, guys, so see you all next video.